Joy 99.7 FM. I got to be honest with you. I look forward to these Thursday evenings because, hey, we got to have very enduring conversations with amazing people who are doing a lot for Mother Ghana. Yeah, and we've had some great personalities in my seat here on Personality Profile. And this evening, I bring you one such great conversation from an amazing brother. Yeah, so now sit back, relax, and enjoy. I don't know how your evening is going. My brother Patrick just sent me a message and tells me there's so much traffic in town. He's been stuck at Accra Girls for like forever, and the traffic is not moving. If the police and the MTTD are listening and they can help, please do help, because I understand there's just so much traffic in town this evening. But listen, if you're stuck in traffic, just turn up the volume a little bit, because we've got a great conversation, one that you wouldn't want to miss. You wouldn't want to step out of the car if you're in the car. So sit back and relax. I'm Lexis Bill, and we're ready for Personality Profile now. I'll tell you a story. A couple of weeks back, I was in Qatar for the World Cup. I descended down my hotel, the Hyatt Regency Oryx, and came to the bar. And I was pleasantly surprised because, before going, you hear all the reports of no alcohol, no alcohol. And I looked at the bar and I saw the range of, brands on there. And I'm like, oh boy, oh boy. So I took a seat. The bartender says, what can we offer you, sir? I said, let me look through it and think through it, because this is like a candy shop. Now, as I sat there, wondering what next, a brother just walked through the door. I saw the smile on the face, I heard the voice, and I knew that this is a Ghanaian brother, an amazing brother. And I'm like, oh, goodness, you're here. Well, he was holding a camera. And if you've been following his exploits on social media, you know that now he actually documents almost everything around the world. He's been traveling the world and showcasing various destinations, promoting tourism. And I thought, wow, this must be a really fun job. But I know what's interesting? That's not his day job. I'm very sure it's leisure for him, I tell you what. He's a man of many parts. Yep. Many years ago, some people remember him with his reggae show on Garden City Radio, when he would throw in some Muta Baruka or something of the sort, and you know that the man has taken over the airwaves. One of the most listened to reggae shows ever. Yep. He was a man who was loaded with a great catalog of music and information about the artists and whatnot. Not just that. That's only a small part of his amazing life and career as a broadcast journalist. He's also a farmer. He's a freelance media publicist and a politician. He was the chief executive officer for the National Youth Authority, and he's the NDC former member of parliament for the Kumbungu constituency. He served as a senior media advisor to the Minister of Information. He's a biographer as well. Currently, he's working on that of the Ghana Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Alban Bagbin. He's the Rasta man with no hair. Please help me welcome my brother, Ras Mubarak.
Lexis Bill.
Really good to see you, brother.
It's good to see you, bro. You're looking good.
And you too.
I love the navy green.
No, don't do this. I was about to compliment your fashion
It's beautiful.
sense.
I mean, folks, I don't know if they're watching on social media, but you should see this.
Guys,
you're gonna have to take me to your tailor.
I'll be honest with you. Ras Mubarak is patronizing me. You should see his outfit. Let me talk about your outfit. Like this green, and I just love the combination. You know how you got the brown pants to match with the shirt, and oh boy. Who picked it out for you? Was it you or somebody else?
No comment.
Ras Mubarak.
Good to see you.
The Rasta man with no hair.
I tell you.
It's actually dear to me you're here, because back in Presec, my English teacher, he was Mr. Emmanuel J.
Okay.
And we used to call him Rasta. And his head was just like yours.
But I used to have hair.
I know you used to have. Yes, you used to have hair.
I used to have locks.
Locks, absolutely.
And then,
from the reggae days.
From the reggae days.
What really made you cut off the locks?
The hair got lost.
No, I don't think it did.
It got lost, and I made no attempt to bring it back.
Literally? Did you go bald?
As you can see, I'm going bald.
Now you're bald, but I mean, there's a lot of conversation about wearing locks and the outlook. So I'm just wondering whether that played a role in...
No, not quite. It did
not at all.
It did not quite play a role. Otherwise, I mean, I wouldn't have even, used the name Ras. So when I decided to contest for MP in Ablekuma North, I had discussions with my team. My real name is Mohammed Mubarak Abdullahi.
Right.
Most people did not know this. And,
Mohammed Mubarak Abdullahi.
My surname is Abdullahi.
Yeah.
So my name is Mohammed Mubarak.
And then it's just Ras Mubarak.
And I thought, then I had locks.
Yeah.
But they were falling off. And the team were like, Charlie, putting this whole name, full name, on a billboard itself is a lot. And the thing with politics is that it involves a bit of marketing as well. You should have a name that rings a bell, catchy, people could remember it easily. Name recognition, crucial in politics. So already you are called Ras. Why don't you just,
Keep it.
keep it? And then we did a deed poll. Then Egbert, my good friend, Fable, was then my lawyer. So we got all the legal stuff sorted out. And then Ras became my official name.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting,
Yeah.
So it was purely for politics.
It was purely for politics, I mean, people years ago would call me Ras because of the dreadlocks.
Yeah.
And from a marketing perspective, we thought that was, for want of a better word, sexy.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You need a slickier name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here we are.
Oh man, I mean, it did stand out because I'm sure a lot of people wondered for a long time that is his name Ras Mubarak or is his nickname?
Most people still think it's my nickname,
but now it's your official name. It's your
my
government
official
name.
Yes.
That's what's in your passport.
That's not what is in my passport.
Okay.
Because with passports, as you would, remember, they would use your birth certificate.
Absolutely. Okay. Right. Okay.
So the name in my passport is different.
It's different from that.
But any other government document, like my letter of appointment from government.
Yeah.
When I was appointed by President Muhammad, it was Ras Mubarak. When I went to Parliament, likewise, so, and I'm loving it because one is African. Secondly, because of what it connotes.
Right.
I mean, Ras means leader, the head.
Okay.
And not the tail. So the name by itself is inspiring.
Wow.
Wow.
Good stuff. I mean, it made you very popular as well. I mean, it stands out, and everybody knows Ras Mubarak now. But anyway, how are you doing?
God has been good.
Yeah.
A bit of politicking here, a bit of farming.
Yeah.
Family traveling. I've done a lot of traveling, particularly this year.
How many countries this year?
This year I've done like 14 countries.
14 countries.
Qatar was actually the 14th.
Wow.
From South America through to the Caribbean to Europe and Africa.
Host of the real travel show.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, how did it even come about? Like, is it out of some passion or it's also strictly business?
Naturally, I love to travel, like go to newer places. That's where I get to rejuvenate and, get some new ideas, get to, be in contact with some awesome people. And one day I was sitting on a flight, actually, a long-haul flight. I'm like, wait a minute. We don't really have a travel show in Ghana. We could have something, either on TV or on social media. Then I started, writing on a notepad I had taken from from my bag. And by the time I landed, I had everything all plotted out.
The concept drafted and all of it.
Drafted the concept and where I'd wanted to go to and how I wanted the program to look like, And it's been fascinating. I mean, this is a program that took me to the Bahamas. It wasn't my first time in the Caribbean, though. But for the Bahamas, it was a cruise trip. From the U.S., from Florida to the Bahamas. And it was amazing. Come to see the village boy from Kumbungu who is afraid of water. All of a sudden finds himself on a cruise ship.
On the high seas.
On the high seas for days.
Oh, dear.
And this is like a floating hotel.
With thousands of
5-star
people.
Floating hotel.
Wow.
Everything you want, I mean, it was an awesome experience. And then it got me to reflect about what people had gone through. Because one of the days we were on the cruise, I was sitting by, my cabin window, looking at the Caribbean Sea. I didn't know when I started crying. Like, reflecting on the pain that people had gone through, kith and kin, people from Africa who were taken into captivity, into slavery, into the Americas. It got me to reflect on the pain and the suffering. And I was telling myself, all of this for what? And we are still where we are. We are still haven't woken up to the fact that Africans would have to look out for themselves. We would have to make our respective countries better for our own citizens, so that a Ghanaian from the Brownsville region or from the northern region or from Greater Accra or Kumasi or any part of the country would not go and sit in a dinghy, that would capsize, would not have to go on a road trip, risk their lives to pass through either Mexico or the Sahara to go to Europe for greener pastures. And I think there's a world of possibilities, just that we haven't harnessed our talents enough and the energies of the people, to change the face of Africa. But
what really has stood out for you in all of your travels? What's that one thing that really you say you find in every destination?
So, one is the thrill of sitting on a flight. Okay, my next destination is next week, and I'm all excited. And then you go to a new place. Oh, Egypt! Wow, that awe feeling is really exciting. Is what gets my blood curling. Is what gives me that adrenaline. And these trips give me an opportunity to also do the sort of things I do. I'm a ghostwriter.
Okay.
I do a lot of writing. I'm actually notorious for writing. If you go on some of the online portals, including My Joy Online, I'm one of those who have written the most articles. It's just these days I've become a bit lazy, but I enjoy sitting on the flight and just pouring down my thoughts.
Okay.
By the time I land at the next destination, I have an article ready.
Yeah.
But it's also about, like, Sharm el Sheikh, for instance. I'd previously been to Egypt, but to Cairo. And then I got the opportunity to go to Sharm el Sheikh, which is another, city not too far away from Cairo. Awesome experience. And one of the things is the cost of even hotels. Ghana is overpriced. And I say this with 64 countries behind me. Having traveled 64 countries and slept in all manner of hotels. Ghana is way overpriced. You go to Istanbul, or Sharm el Sheikh, a hotel that costs you 70 US would cost in Ghana 230 or 50. That's outrageous. Recently, I was looking at something online in one of the hotels, and you can check it out. It's priced at $700 a night.
In Ghana?
In Ghana. You don't even get value, So if we really want to create more jobs in the tourism sector, these are some of the things that we ought to look
Is
at.
it not a reflection of the general Ghanaian system?
So Accra is very expensive, by my experience traveling around the world. Extremely expensive. But our hotels are extremely overpriced, and I think we could do something about it. Because you see, when a tourist who is coming from Europe, they've made some savings. And these tourists, most of them are not rich people. All the people you see, jump on planes and come to our country for tourism. A lot of them are teachers or bus drivers. Like I was in the Gambia, almost a month ago. Then I bumped into a couple who are from Belgium. And guess what? They drive a tram.
Wow.
We could say we want more and more people to come. When people are coming in, they're looking at disposable income, cost of hotels and everything. Now, if it's going to cost them, say, $2,000 to spend 1 week in Ghana, and Egypt could give them less, Kenya could give them less, they would go to Kenya.
Right.
So there's a lot that needs to be done with our tourism
Absolutely.
industry.
You were in Qatar also. You witnessed the World Cup. I know you spent. You enjoyed more than the World Cup, because I saw videos of you on the desert. Doing a lot of amazing things in there. How was the experience in there as well?
Qatar is amazing. It was my 5th visit to Qatar, so I actually have seen the construction of the stadium from scratch.
Oh wow!
and then
Yeah.
till it got finished, and
Yeah.
then I went into, Qatar again to experience the matches. It stems from visionary leadership, a leadership that thought they had so much resources, yet they needed to get their country to stand out. So Qatar is, carving itself out as the sporting hub
Oh,
of
right.
the world.
Okay.
They're carving a niche. Everybody wants to go to Dubai for one thing or the other. They want to say, when you hear Qatar, what comes to mind? Football, motor, racing, horse
Yeah.
racing, you name it.
Okay.
And they
okay.
have a slew of activities lined up. After the World Cup,
After
they
the
are
World
hosting
Cup.
the Asian Games.
Yeah.
They are hosting one thing or the other. So this is what they've been able to do.
Positioning.
Positioning.
Leadership. Vision.
And you should see the infrastructure.
Oh, yeah.
You were there.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
And it was very evident that they're still working. That even what we saw is just probably the tip of the iceberg. I don't want to see the iceberg itself. Anyway, let's come back home. I mean, how's life after? There's a conversation about how when members of parliament leave leave parliament, they kind of struggle a little bit. But obviously not you. You're globetrotting.
God has been amazing, and I've made some very good friends along the way. I've kept a cool head, not getting into trouble. I, staying focused and praying unto the Lord, to guide my steps.
Yeah.
So,
Do you miss Parliament?
well, obviously, it's the biggest stage in the country when it comes to, advancing the interest, the cause of the people. So it's the kind of stage everybody want to play in. It's like, playing in the World Cup. Parliament gives you the opportunity to be able to look out for the watches seller or the dog chain seller in traffic. I mean, today when I was coming into town, guess the weather? 33 degrees Celsius. That's blistering.
Absolutely.
And there were people out there selling stuff. I'm like, wow. So mostly that's what I do. I mean, the underbridge is my route. I'll roll down my windows and engage them and talk to them and get a sense of what is happening. Because sometimes people are going through a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Even if you're not buying things, nyame mauja, Allah wai, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
That in itself gives them hope. And it's the kind of things that I want to do. Parliament afforded me the opportunity of sponsoring a private member's legislation that today has opened the floodgates. So, hither to my bill, which became law, no individual member of parliament had sponsored successfully a private member's bill.
I see.
And first time in parliament to have been able to do that. I'm grateful for the opportunity that Speaker Michael Koe also, provided. Because sometimes you need people to be of a certain mindset. He was a reformist, or he's a reformist, by parliamentary standards, in spite of the challenges that we all have had with him, on the politics, and obviously we are staking a comeback because we have a very good track record. My ratings have always been through the roof in my constituency.
Okay.
And I have always said that, but for the fact that we had resorted to a delegate system, I would still have been in parliament. So in
what?
20 what it means, in 2015, when I got elected as a candidate of the NDC, we had an expanded electoral college.
Okay.
So every member of the NDC in every constituency in the country exercised their franchise on who becomes the party's
Representative,
candidate.
yeah.
And then fast forward 2019, they reverted back to the current status quo, where some of us have been very vocal against, because clearly what it does is it perpetuates corruption. By the time somebody gets into parliament, the person is already in debt because he's buying flat screen and motorbikes and you name it and giving people money just so to vote for him to come and serve.
Do you think that's why you lost the primaries?
Well, I mean, check out my approval ratings in my constituency, and I'm still well loved
But
by my
the
people.
delegates, the delegates
But you see,
there
the
are
thing
from
with
your
the
constituency.
thing with leaving a decision as important as who goes to parliament or who becomes the flag bearer of a party in the hands of a few who, may at one point or the other be driven by material things, would end up, choosing the wrong candidates. And we've seen it time and again. And that is why we are saying that, look, if we expanded the frontiers of democracy so that Lexis bill could run for elections for party A or party B and still win without having a bag of money or a big sponsor, to get him through, that would be exciting. Because there are a lot of young men, and especially young women, who would have been better representatives of our country, but do not get the chance, because to run for office in Ghana, we're talking about, what, minimum 500,000 Ghana cedis.
Is that how much you spent?
I didn't spend that much money.
How much did you spend?
No, so like as I said, when I ran on the back of the expanded electoral college.
Yeah, but the second time,
So
there
the
was a
second
delegate
time,
system.
so the second time it was a delegate system,
And
and I decided not to spend.
You didn't buy anything?
Because
no flat screen?
No, because, my work in Parliament, I had distinguished myself in Parliament. I'd asked the most questions of ministers. Ministers were actually peeing in their pants whenever I had questions on the floor, because I didn't give them an opportunity to get away with a lot of things, and so somebody came and flashed money, and they were like, oh, I mean, the person hasn't even been MP and he's already giving us money, so much. And for rural constituencies, especially those of us who are from rural Ghana, if you give somebody 500 cedis or 1,000 cedis, that is a lot. Until recently, when fertilizer prices, skyrocketed, 1,000 Ghana cedis would have bought like, 10 bags of fertilizer. And I'm from an agrarian area, a rural area where people farm. 10 bags of fertilizer, that's a lot for, somebody in the rural area.
Are you suggesting that the one who won did?
No, this is public. I'm not suggesting. I actually even, petitioned the party not to overturn the decision, but to look into it. And I also wrote to the BNI asking for an investigation. That is how, because it was done in a very brazen way, in violation of our electoral laws. And I thought that was crazy for our democracy.
Yeah.
That people could come at a place where voting is taking place, and, they're not even hiding about it. They're just, giving
Sharing
people money to go and vote. I mean, it's risky, Lexis.
Okay. The delegates,
if we are not careful, a cartel could take over the country one day. I'm telling you. So all of us need to look at what is in the best interest of a party, of our country, both NDC, MPP, CPP, LPA, PU, and whatever, and say, look, we need to have laws that prevent these things. One of the things that I pushed unsuccessfully in Parliament was party campaign financing. If I run for office, Lexis Bill or Araba Kumsin or any journalist in the country should be able to, get details of how I raised money and from whom. That is transparency. That is how you advance the frontiers of democracy. People today are giving all kinds of monies, and we don't know where those monies are coming from, and we're not even worried.
Okay.
That is a sad thing about
until such a time where these things, or what you wish for, comes to pass. There's still the delegate system.
We are pushing now,
and I get the impression.
And not to cut you short, it's one of the reasons why I'm excited about Asiedu Nketiah's candidature as the national chairman of the NDC. I mean, one of the main planks of his manifesto is that, look, when he becomes the national chairman, he would push for certain reforms, and it aligns with my vision of where I want to see the NDC.
Okay.
And I think
I was going to ask you what I C for C or G for C, but
no, I'm G for
G.
G for C.
G for C. Okay.
G for C. Chairman General Secretary for chairman.
Absolutely.
And we've got an exciting song as well.
Oh, is it?
I'd like to share it with you if you like
go
to
ahead,
hear it.
Go ahead. I want to hear it.
Chairman may come, chairman may go, but the chairman general has come to stay. Chairman, chairman, chairman general has a long way to go, but has come to stay.
You guys are really not joking, man. I see. Well, it's gonna be a good weekend. We're gonna delve into all of those things and more. But more importantly, this evening, I don't want you to switch into politics mode. You're already firing along those lines. Let me bring you back home. Let's get to know you a
Let's
bit more.
relax.
Absolutely. Let me get to know you a bit more. I mean, for a
Okay.
lot of people, they've heard about you. They don't know where you're from, who you are, and all. So let's start from where you were born and a bit of your growing up. We'd want to
Okay.
know.
So I see myself as a barracks boy because I was born in Tamale. Started school at Kamina Barracks. My father, a plumber with then Ghana Water and Sewerage Corporation, my mother, a trader. And then I was moved to Tamale because I was very hard ears as a child.
Stubborn.
Stubborn, And
Did you ever get in trouble?
I remember not proudly pelting my primary teacher, class 2 teacher with stones.
You're
Mrs.
serious?
Bauer, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
I think she had picked up on me or something. Something happened in class, and then I got punished. And then on their way home, I gathered a few young guys, and we pelted them with. I'm not proud of it, So
Oh dear.
I was that kind of child, rebellious,
Where did you pick that from?
I don't know because my
No, you
parents are
should know.
calm.
Yeah, so you should know. What was it? Was it probably the way you were brought up? Were you from a
I'm
privileged
I'm
home?
very not privileged, but I'm from a working class family. I mean, we didn't struggle.
Okay.
We're all right, yeah. But and I grew up in a very good neighborhood. I mean, anyone who knows Norip in Tamale, it was one of the exclusive neighborhoods in the northern region.
Okay.
That's where I grew up. But it was just probably. I mean, don't forget, I was born in 1979 of all years on the 3rd of June, a revolutionary baby.
Oh.
So probably, I picked up a few of the revolutionary fires.
Yeah. I see. But
Yeah,
what kind of profession did you hope to get into?
I actually was wishing and hoping and praying that I would end up as an officer in uniform. Especially watching officers train at Kamina Barracks. To my utter disappointment, I was told I was too short, to be in there.
Are you serious?
I'm telling you, I tried to get enlisted in 1994-5 thereabout, and I got disqualified. Not because I wasn't intelligent, but because I didn't meet the height requirement. And the commander in chief is, I'm taller than the president, with all due respect. But that is the irony.
you don't look so short, so I'm surprised. Wow.
Yeah, in those days they would want to, have people like, yourself,
Me.
tall and good looking.
No, man.
A little built. And here was I, I don't know. But they just said I was too short. I used to play football as well.
Okay. Ah.
Those days when Ghana conquered the world through the Starlets. We all thought, why not? It's got to be football. And then I got injury. So I played football till under 17, and I did under 21 at RTU, Real Tamale United.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how far I went with football. But it wasn't my calling. I tried so many other things, And,
Which other things? I'm just curious because it looks like there are a lot of things that we didn't know. Wow.
Yeah.
So what? An injury ended your football career?
An injury ended my football career.
What injury was it? ACL?
It was on my ankle.
Okay.
It was a bad one, and then that put me out of play for quite a while. And then when I recovered, I kind of lost interest, strangely.
Okay.
And then went into radio.
Ah.
So the first time I auditioned for GBC, like, whoa, that's a nice voice. And I don't see myself to having a good voice, But the person who did the auditioning thought I was cut for radio, and then I got stuck in radio for 12 years.
And this was in Kumasi?
This was in Tamale. So I started my radio career with, GBC, Tamale, got transferred to, moved to Kumasi.
Garden City Radio?
Garden City Radio. So I started from Radio Savannah.
Okay.
Garden City Radio, and then Unique FM in Accra and GTV.
They kept pushing you down from the top.
You see,
from North to Kumasi. Keep going.
I'm a restless soul. I like to improve. I don't like doing the same thing for donkey years. After 5 years, you need to progress. You need to move on and let other people grow.
Yeah.
So that has always been. It's been in my nature.
Do you miss your radio days?
When I hear your jingles, because you've got some exclusive, signature tunes.
Yeah.
And I, in my time on radio, when I used to play reggae, I had sick tunes and jingles from the best of the best in reggae.
Wow.
So every top artist of would do a jingle for me.
Yeah.
So when I, evenings driving and hearing Lexis, oh my goodness, Charlie.
It brings like so much nostalgia. In fact, what's your favorite reggae song? I want you to introduce any song at all. Which one do we have there? The poem by what?
Okay, so if you have Wake Up and Live.
Wake Up and Live.
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley.
And I say Wake Up and Live because of the message. Probably we could listen to that one. That album is one of my very favorite albums from 1979, year of my birth.
Year of your birth, absolutely.
If you have Wake Up and Live from Bob Marley, he's searching for it, but that's fine. Bob, because of the inspiration, it's very difficult for me to pick a particular reggae artist or even song as my favorite.
Yeah.
Because Charlie, reggae be different vibe.
I spoke to your guys at Garden City Radio and they're like, Lexis, when he's coming and his CD bags, like he's got a ton of them, like one here, one day, and all of that.
And my fan mails, those days we didn't have, text messages and WhatsApp and emails. My fan mails, were like this.
Wow.
So when the mailman comes,
oh dear,
I get like 100 letters a day from fans all over the country who were listening to my program.
Man, you're a huge superstar.
Well, not as, come on,
bro,
you're exaggerating.
I think you should sign an autograph for me before we continue this interview, because maybe by the time we're done, I'll forget. You know what I mean? So introduce your next song.
Okay, so we've got Bob Marley all queued up. Ready when you're ready. Let's go.
Up and live.
So Bob Marley says life is one big road with a lot of signs.
Yeah.
So when you travel through the roads, don't you complicate your mind.
Yeah.
Flee from hate, mischief, and jealousy. These are all things that we take lightly.
Yeah.
God doesn't bless you if you are mischievous. God doesn't bless you if you're jealous. God doesn't bless you if you hate others.
Absolutely.
And it's pretty inspiring.
It is. If you're listening to us and you have any messages you want to send or any questions for Ras Mubarak, you can send it to us on WhatsApp 055-111-1997. At what point did politics come in seriously for you?
I got tired of writing about, and I used to write a lot of epilogues and commentary for Radio Ghana about things, and I became political at some point, because when you eat and drink reggae, you can't put up with badness.
Absolutely.
You can't put up with rubbish.
The consciousness.
You can't put up with bad governance.
Yeah.
You talk about it, and I thought to myself, look, I better go out before I get fired. It would be a bad thing, to, and those days President Kufuor was in government. It would be bad for me to lose my job because, of politics.
Yeah.
I was getting very, very critical of the current administration. So I left, and I supported President Mills's campaign to the best of my ability, in my constituency in Ablekuma North. And when we won, I contested for the National Youth Organizer of the NDC. In 2009. I placed, I think, 4th out of 7 or 8 candidates, and I thought, why not look for a seat in Parliament?
And that's when you actually went to stand for the primaries in Ablekuma North.
In Ablekuma North.
And you won.
Against all odds.
Yeah.
Because I had been very critical of our administration when we're in government. I mean, I don't see why government should pay for supporters to go and watch football abroad, for a developing country. It doesn't make sense to me. In 2010, we did it. We are doing it now. Some supporters funded, through public funds to go and watch football. It doesn't make sense. They could build boreholes and get young kids, in schools and the rest of it. So Ablekuma North, nobody gave me a chance. Let me use this opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to Uncle Ato. Good man, one of the finest. When everybody was like, Charlie, you're not going to win this election. I mean, you're up against somebody who's well-grounded. The person has more money than you and all of that. Uncle Ato said, well, okay, you go. And at that time, the regional chairman, my very good friend Adekoka, was trying to disqualify me from contesting because I'd been critical of my own party. Can you imagine that the outrage that in a political party you can't have dissenting opinion? But that is, the sort of situations we found ourselves in. Uncle Ato said, no, let the young man run. And then I ran against all odds, won the elections, and we put up a good fight. Till date, my record of votes in Ablekuma North for the NDC is still the highest. Nobody.
You lost the election itself.
We lost the elections.
You won the primaries, but you lost the election.
Won the primary, lost the elections. When I left, no candidate of the NDC has been able to garner more votes than I had. And I'm hoping that in the next elections, because we have a very unique opportunity in Ablekuma North, to reclaim the seat.
How did the death of David Lamte affect your campaign?
It was a big blow. Because I didn't know David. And then one of my colleagues were like, Charlie, go and see David. He's a party financier. He would be of great assistance. And then when I called, he didn't pick up. So I sent a text and he said, oh yeah, Ras, come by. I went to his place off the Tema motorway. And then he said, how's the campaign? How much do you think you need for the campaign? I mean, I think I said 60,000. Oh, 60, okay. Like, it was nothing. And he just put his hand in his pocket, Charlie, today's not a good day. I'm like, who asked me to go and mention 60,000? But he said, let me look into my wife's office. And then he went and brought 60,000 cedis. That was my biggest donation. I mean, Jesus, that made a whole world of difference.
Yeah.
And then he said, look, what else? I've got some clothes. Then he gave me bales of clothes. And, David was, as Duncan Williams said, he was a dangerous giver. The late David Lamte could give to the point that you, the receiver, would collapse. So it was a big blow. And this was just before the elections. We lost because after I'd seen him, he said, look, come by, I'm going to travel. When I come, come see me. And that was it.
And that was it. You never had that meeting again.
We never had that meeting. The
Wow.
next thing was David
Had
is
passed.
gone. May the good Lord, rest his soul.
May he so rest in peace.
But
Later you went to Kumbungu.
I went to Kumbungu. I'm a royal from Kumbungu. Even when I went to Kumbungu, our detractors were saying I'm not from Kumbungu. I mean, I grew up in Kumasi, I hadn't lived in the constituency, but, that's my hometown. I visited frequently. And when I went to contest, they ran all manner of vile campaign against me. What we did was to use our network of contacts to create opportunities for the people. For instance, I'm proud to have been the candidate, no, aspirant, because I wasn't even the candidate yet, an aspirant to have donated an ambulance. I realized Kumbungu didn't have an ambulance. Meanwhile, we've had MPs go and come. And I'm like, we could do something about it. So I called around friends, Charlie, can you donate something? Can you donate something? We gathered some money and bought and donated the ambulance. The ambulance is still in use. Schools, books, street lights, computers, donated. Till date, I still do donations. I was in the constituency just last week. I looked at the madrasas, the Arabic schools, and I realized they lacked, Qurans, reading materials. So I brought about 500 pieces of Qurans, give them out to the people.
These things that you're mentioning, great deeds and all of that, but and I've spoken to a lot of members of parliament, and it bothers me a lot because when you think about it, MPs are supposed to be lawmakers, right? Mm-hmm. But you realize that this side of town, a lot of MPs are using their money to engage in developmental projects.
And that is why I think we should be voting for DCs. If the road is not fixed, is the DC you should be holding accountable.
But they come to you.
But they come to MPs. Because they tell you they didn't vote for the DC. The president appointed the DC. It's you they know. It's you they, went round, some got injured along the way campaigning for you. So if they have needs, if the road is not fixed, if, a roof is blown over at school, it's the MP they come to. So we need to get the building blocks right if we really want to advance our country.
Well, you did a lot for Kumbungu, but after one term, you lost the primaries, and that's where you say it's because of the delegate system that the NDC introduced. But do you think that the people of Kumbungu would have retained you?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Look at the votes from 26. As a matter of fact, my record from Kumbungu, I went and wrestled a seat from the opposition. The party colleagues in Kumbungu had messed themselves up so badly, that a seat that belonged to the NDC, that was a stronghold of, one of the safest seats of the NDC, the CPP just picked it up like that. And that was the only seat that was held by the CPP. And when I ran on the ticket of the NDC, you can imagine all the CPP big guns, it was their only seat, so they needed to protect it with all their life. They were there, and the MPP knew they couldn't win it, so they also threw their support against the CPP candidate.
But you prevailed.
We prevailed. We went in and we rescued the seat, the seat, from the opposition. We would have, but for the work we did, we would have lost the Kumbungu seat again to the CPP. The MP wasn't bad, he was pretty much on touch. Honorable Moses Yahya, pretty much in touch with the grassroots. He was an assembly member, so fairly grassroots person. It's difficult, beating a candidate like that, but
we did it.
We did it. Okay. Youth.
Yeah. Now, do you plan on going back?
I would run again. I will run again, not because of, the perks that come with being MP. Even before I went to Parliament, I was traveling the world. Most people don't know this. They see my programs today and they're like, you are traveling around with your S-Gracia. As if the S-Gracia is that much that it doesn't get finished. It can't even buy, 2 tickets. It can't even buy 2 tickets, on a trip abroad. Okay? Before I got into politics, I was doing documentaries around the world. German reggae. I don't know if you were familiar with the program. We're all over the place. Gambia, Europe, Jamaica. As a matter of fact, I did a documentary on reggae from Jamaica.
I see.
When Lucky Dube died, I said to GBC, don't go and kill news items from BBC and CNN. Send a reporter there. And they were like, we don't have the resources. And so I went directly to the Director General. I said, look, Lucky Dube is such a... And on the day that he died, he's such a big artist, GBC cannot afford not to be in South Africa. He said, can you go? I said, why not? But we don't have the resources. I said, I'll get the resources. So I picked up the phone, made a few calls to companies, and we got tickets.
Wow.
And I took a whole crew. I mean, it was unheard of. If a crew was moving out of GBC abroad, it was because the president or the vice president was traveling. But I took a crew to South Africa to cover the funeral of a musician, unheard of in GBC's history. We did that. So these are things that we've done over the years again and again. And we didn't start traveling today and doing programs today. For those who say, oh, but see, he's spending our money, politics, but for politics, you wouldn't be all over this place.
I see.
Let me just make this point. 99% of the trips I make are paid for by companies.
I see.
I don't pay them from my pockets. So it affords me an opportunity to do speaking engagements, to do promos for companies, like Qatar. It was Qatar Airways that gave me tickets. 2 of my trips to Qatar were borne by Qatar Airways.
Right.
And
mine too, actually.
And yours as well. Yeah. So sometimes you see, the politics is such that when God has blessed you and you're living good, people think, oh, you're making your money out of politics.
You've worked hard for it, I got to be honest. I mean,
sweat, tears, and blood.
Absolutely. What is the biggest lesson life has taught you?
Not to give up. To keep knocking. Because if I had given up from when I stood in Ablekuma North, I wouldn't have been in Parliament. If I'd given up when I said I wasn't going to do radio again, I wouldn't have been where I am today. And I'm thankful to my people in Ablekuma North and to my people in Kumbungu for the privilege of, getting to be in politics at the forefront and working hard.
Good stuff. Kingsley of Stillwater's Bible Church sent a message from Pukwasi High Speed and says, great to hear Ras Mubarak on my favorite 99.7 stereo. I'm an unrepentant reggae addict. I used to listen to this guy religiously on Unique FM from 12 midnight, a reggae presenter that played quality reggae and spoke flawless English as well as patois. Respect. Ras. Okay. Thank you so much. Good evening, Ras Mubarak. You inspired me. I am an NDC member from Rudolph in La. Thank you. Lexis, I'm not surprised that he was a footballer because I used to teach his son, Mohammed. Trust me, the boy lives, sleeps, and drinks soccer. Wow.
Just yesterday, I was thinking about, should I take him to Ajax Academy?
Maybe you should, because this time there's a lot of money in football.
It's a lot of money.
Ras, I mean, it's been great spending time with you. There's a lot more we could have talked about. Unfortunately, time is up, but I really enjoyed everything. I didn't even think the time was going so fast. You know what I mean?
Almost 7 already. Wow.
Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely. I really have had fun with you. I'd want to leave the last couple of seconds to you to share any word of advice to people who look up to you as well.
I'll say to all of us that we should be the change that we want to see in Ghana. This is the only country we have. I realize that from all my travels, I still come home because I have confidence in Ghana getting there. But it will take all of us putting our shoulders to the wheel to be in Ghanaians. So, I bind the NT, I'm treating it with disdain and contempt. No. We've got to be the change we want to see in Ghana and brighten the corner where we are. So let's keep believing in the country Ghana and let's get involved. In Ghana, people think politics is for a special breed. All of us would have to be involved in making Ghana a great place.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Lexis, for the opportunity of being here.
Pleasure is all ours. We have enjoyed it.
Keep up the good work.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you. We would love to see you again. Actually,
on a holiday, set up a slot for us to do
we should do some reggae. That's good. That's a good idea. We'll do that. I'm Lexis. Well, thanks a lot for spending time with us on Personality Profile. On behalf of the team, we're grateful. Have a great evening. We're back on radio tomorrow. Time is 8 o'clock. Let's find out what's happening in news.